Hey everybody, I hope you all are having a great start of your week. Sorry that Musical Monday had turned into Musical Tuesday. It just was kind of a crazy week, and I'm trying to kind of get back from a golf tournament and things like that, and just trying to get things kind of together. So we have moved Musical Monday to Musical Tuesday. It's also later in the evening. I apologize for that as well, but I promise Play Thursday will be on time on Thursday. So, hello, my name is Chloe Kraus. I am the theater instructor at the Baldwin Academy of Dance and Voice. And during this whole quarantine kind of crazy situation, I have been doing a musical Monday every Monday or Tuesday sometimes, and play Thursday every Thursday to try and teach kids from all ages, whether you are in second, first, or eighth grade, 12th grade, or if you're even in college, or maybe you're an adult and you're like, I've never learned really much about theater. I'd love to learn more. Here's the place for you to learn more. So every Monday we look at a musical, every Thursday we look at a different play, and we talk about the different themes and different things throughout the shows and also the plots that go into the shows. So, um, the first part of this show is for theater knowledge. So this is just kind of a basic overview of something that's normal in a theater atmosphere that maybe not all of us know about or are educated about. So today's theater knowledge is about scenic designers. What is a scenic designer? Well, it's just like how it sounds. If you think of a scenic, so you think of a scene, what does this scene look like design-wise? That could be how does the floor look? How does the set look? Is there a table? Is there chairs? Things like that. Why are they important? Well, visually shows, yes, actors by themselves are great, but without set pieces and without set design and without any of those aspects, the show would not be the same. The show would just be actors standing on an empty stage, and it would not give you the full effect of being immersed in part of a show. What part of the story do they tell? They tell the visual part of a story. They're able to tell, what era you're in. You don't want to have a play where it's supposed to be set in the 1950s and you have a cell phone sitting on the table, or you have, a house phone from 2004 in a house that's supposed to be from the 1800s. Things like that. What would happen without scenic designers? Well, you wouldn't have a set. You really wouldn't have a set, or it wouldn't be designed as well as if a scenic designer would have designed it. Different things would be off. And something that I always say is that every piece of a set is important. Every single piece. There's a reason that things are there. And to keep an eye out for those when you go see shows, or even when you're watching them on TV, if you see a little detail, like a little picture frame or something, it's not just there randomly. Everything is designed in theater. Everything is there for a reason, to give a reason, whether it's the scenic designer saying, oh, I really like this type of flower, that's why I'm putting this in here because it shows this theme, or if it's because, oh, they mentioned this earlier in the script, things like that. So scenic designers are a very, 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 very important part of every single theater production that you see. Very important. Even if it's a minimalist set, that was a choice by a scenic designer. So pay attention to those when you go see shows. It's those little details that kind of bring the whole show together. So today's show is Wicked. And when I have seen this show, I've gotten the honor of seeing this show twice. I got to see it in London and I got to see it in on Broadway. Um, One thing that I do want to speak about before I start going through the plot. I do understand that there are things that are happening politically and in our lives today as a country. And this show was chosen before any of these things had occurred. There are certain aspects of this story that you could look at in this day and time and say, oh, that's her trying to point that out for this situation. Now, that is not the case for this. I am not here to voice my opinion on, my personal opinion about the situations that are happening around us. I am here to educate kids on theater. I am here to give them an outlet from those situations. I'm here to show creativity and fun in theater. And I'm not here to spread any sort of message or anything like that other than to be creative and to love theater when you are able to be as imaginative and as fun as a child. So this musical was chosen before any of that was happening. And I just wanted to make it clear before I begin the plot that none of what is happening politically in our country is not why I made the choice of this musical. So, going into Wicked, I love this show. This is one of my favorite shows. And of course, kids of the BADV, so Baldwin Academy of Dance and Voice, we are from Kansas. So, what is the one story that everybody thinks we know by heart? Of course, it is The Wizard of Oz, which is so cool because that's what this show is based off of. So, this show was actually a book originally, and they adapted it into a Broadway show. And so the show begins with the people of Oz are celebrating the demise of Elphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West, who we all know is the green, scary, black hat, black cape witch. And Glinda starts to talk about her past with Elphaba, and it goes back in time, and we see Elphaba's mother was having an affair with a traveling salesman, and he gives her this green potion to take to keep her healthy. I don't remember what the actual reason was, but he gave her this potion, and she becomes pregnant and gives birth to a green-skinned girl who is now known as Elphaba, or the Wicked Witch of the West later on. Then we go back to modern time, and they ask Glinda if she and Elphaba were friends, and she says yes. And this is where the show begins to go into a flashback into how Glinda and Elphaba became friends. They both went to Shiz University, and Elphaba is resented by her father because of her green skin. Elphaba also has a sister named Nessa Rose, but for this class we will call her Nessa just to kind of keep it simple. And so Nessa is showered with affection due to the fact that she is handicapped. She has to be in a wheelchair due to birth complications, and that her mother passed away because of these complications. Elphaba ends up getting Galinda, I did say that correctly, Galinda as a roommate. And Galinda is one of the most popular and stylish girls in school. She kind of reminds me of Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. She's wearing pink, and she's just, oh, it's so fun, yay! And so Elphaba tries to get her sister back to be like her roommate, and tries to use her powers to convince the school people to let her. And one of the teachers, Madame Morble, realizes Elphaba's gifts and decides to teach her sorcery, which is not something that normally a first year person at the school would learn. And she tells Elphaba that her powers may get Elphaba to get to work beside the wizard, so the Wizard of Oz, one day. And this is something Elphaba has dreamed about since forever, because she thinks that the wizard can change her skin to be normal like everyone else's. And so both Galinda and Elphaba dislike each other from the beginning, and they even take it into the classroom. And this is where their professor, Dr. Dilliman, who is actually a goat. What a cool guy. He's actually a goat. He talks like this all the time. And he pronounces Glinda. So I've said Galinda this whole time. Glinda's name is Glinda, but Dr. Dilliman calls her Galinda. So that's where that whole thing comes in. It will come in handy later. And so, but Dr. Dilliman is a goat, and he's the only animals professor, and he begins to suffer from discrimination, which is in Oz, when an animal is not able to speak for a very long time to people, they lose the ability to speak. And so he tells Elphaba about a rumor that they're trying to stop animals from speaking, and he wants Elphaba to talk to the wizard if she gets to go to him to make sure that this does not happen, because he is a smart doctor and he wants to continue teaching. Later on, a Winky Prince, we all know what Winkies are, right? They're the guard people from the Wicked Witch's castle from the Wizard of Oz. So, but we're going backwards, remember? So a Winky Prince named Fiero, what a name, arrives at school and tells people to start dancing through life. That's kind of his motto. He's like, I just dance through life. It's just a fun time. And there is a orientation party that night at the Oz Dust Ballroom. And it's kind of like prom, so everybody's just kind of asking each other if they want to go to the party. And it is then that a munchkin named Bok develops a crush on Galinda and tries to ask her to the party. But she does not want to go with Bok. And so she convinces him to go with Nessa. Gotta backtrack. I got it backwards. Um, it is that Dr. Dilliman calls her Galinda, not Galinda. I got that backwards. I apologize. I just thought of that as I was reading this. So, leaving, Galinda goes with Fiyero. Um, Glinda goes with Fiyero to the dance because she's like, yo, you should come with me. And Galinda gives Elphaba a witch's hat to wear at the party as a joke, saying, oh, this will be fashionable, it'll be so cute, you should wear it. And so at the party, Bach is going to tell Nessa that it was only because of Galinda that Nessa and him are at the dance together, and he just can't hurt her feelings because he could tell that she really likes him, and Nessa continues to fall for him, even though he is not falling for her. And so Galinda gets the news that she can now join the sorcery class and is given a wand. And the only reason that this was done was because Elphaba said she studies really hard, she's really good at what she does, and she should be in a sorcery class. And so right after this happens, Elphaba arrives at the party with the witch's hat and is getting laughed at and is dancing alone. And Galinda, because now she knows she's in the sorcery class due to Elphaba asking her to be in the sorcery class, feels bad. And so she goes over and dances with Elphaba. And since Galinda goes over there, everyone else goes over and dances together with all of them, including Elphaba. And so Galinda and Elphaba began a friendship and share secrets between each other. It turns out that Elphaba's mother had to chew milk flowers during her pregnancy with Nessa, so Nessa would not turn out to be green, and that was a big reason of why Elphaba and Nessa's mother passed away. And Elphaba blames herself for her mother's death, and still has the leftover potion that her mother took from the man that she had an affair with under her pillow every night. This is when Galinda gives Elphaba a makeover. Now, this makeover has one of the most popular songs, one of the most popular songs from the musical called Popular in it. Most of you know that song. It's a pretty fun song, and it just kind of goes into Galinda's kind of her niches and just the way that her mannerisms and things. But she pretty much gives Elphaba a makeover and makes Elphaba feel as beautiful, I think, as she's probably ever felt. The next day, Dr. Dilliman tells the students that he has been excommunicated from the school, and Elphaba tries to get the students to stop this from happening and stand up for him, and no one stands up with her. And so they have a substitute teacher come in, and they are introduced to this thing called the cage, which is where animals will be kept from learning how to speak. And in the cage is this lion cub that is visibly upset and crying, and Elphaba cannot contain her anger to this whole situation, and she places a spell on her class to make them shake and kind of dance around funny so that she, Fiyero, and the lion cub can escape. Her and Fiyero share a tender moment before she leaves, and they let the lion cub go. She is embarrassed because she knows that Galinda, that he likes Galinda because they went to like the dance together, and that he could never like her or even love her because of how she is and how she's perceived. So Madame Marble finds Elphaba and tells her that the wizard wants to meet her. And so obviously Elphaba is super excited. So Galinda, Nessa, and Fiyero come to see her off as she goes to the Emerald City. And Fiyero gives her a bouquet of poppy flowers and is ignoring Glinda totally, and that is just bugging Glinda. And so Galinda tries to get some sort of respect by Fiyero by changing her name to Galinda, since that is what Dr. Dilliman called her. And Fiyero was not really that impressed by that. He's just like, cool. She makes this big grand announcement. She's like, I will be called Galinda for Dr. Dilliman, and things like that. Elphaba invites Galinda to come to the Emerald City with her so that they both can have kind of a cool experience together. And they both meet the wizard, who is a younger man, and they didn't really expect him to be the way that he is. He just kind of seems a little sketch to them. And the wizard promises to grant Elphaba's request to help her get rid of her green skin and to help with the animal situation if she completes a task. And he asks her to read an ancient text called the Gramarye, and this is something that only people with magical gifts can read. And she tries a levitation spell out of the book, on one of the wizard's monkeys that he brought out, and it goes wrong, and the monkey spouts wings and becomes a flying monkey. Now, where have we heard that one before? Once again, the Wizard of Oz, which is now in the future. This is when she becomes aware that the wizard is behind the oppression of the animals, and also that the wizard is powerless. How can you be a wizard and have no powers? He is powerless and a fraud. The wizard secretary begins to spread rumors about Elphaba that she is a wicked witch to save the wizard's reputation. And she tells the wizard that Elphaba tells the wizard that she will have revenge and does a spell on a broomstick and flies away from the Emerald City. This is where the most famous song from this musical, Defying Gravity, comes from. It is talking about how she is going to go off and help the animal. She's going to help herself by being more rewarding to herself, and she's kind of taking on the role as the Wicked Witch, as they call her now. So starting in Act 2, it is told that Elphaba is now the Wicked Witch of the West, which is how we famously know her. Glinda has been rewarded by the wizard and is now kind of the front face of the wizard, and she's kind of his right-hand girl. And she is now known as Glinda the Good. And she is one of the defenses against the Wicked Witch of the West. Fiero's press conference. Fiero is having a press conference because he has become the head of the team to find Elphaba. This press conference is hijacked by a crowd getting worked up about rumors that they heard about the Wicked Witch of the West, and there was even one that she could be melted by water. And so Madame Morrible announces that that Fiero and Glinda, she's Glinda now, that Fiero and Glinda are now engaged to calm the crowd down, which is something that Fiero does not want, and he runs off. Glinda tries to stay happy, but realizes the price that she's paid to have kind of this dream life that she's always wanted. And so we move on to the next scene where Elphaba makes a visit to Nessa, her sister, who is now the governor of Munchkinland because their father passed away and she has taken over. Nessa has taken the Munchkins' rights away to keep Boq by her side because Boq really has never been in love with her, but she's in love with him. And so Elphaba tries to convince her sister to rebel against the wizard, but Nessa is more concerned about her love life with Boq. So Elphaba tries to help her sister get the ability to walk by putting a spell on some silver slippers that turn into ruby slippers. Once again, where have we heard this before? The Wizard of Oz. So Nessa thinks now that Boq will love her because she can walk and she can do everything, but he realizes when he sees her that she really doesn't need him anymore because she can walk and do everything. And he sees an opportunity to finally tell Glinda that he loves her before she becomes married to Fiero. And Elphaba finds out about Fiero's engagement this way. It was not surprising, but it kind of did hurt her because of her and Fiero's short connection they had after they escaped the first time. And so Nessa takes the spell book and tries to make a spell for Boq to fall in love with her, but she mispronounces the words of the spell and shrinks Boq's heart. She is now known as the Wicked Witch of the East. So now Elphaba is the Wicked Witch of the West. Nessa is the Wicked Witch of the East. Elphaba tries to save Boq's life with a spell that changes him into a completely different condition. And she tells Nessa that she's going to the palace to free all of the animals, but Nessa knows she is only going back to be with Fiero. Boq finally wakes up and realizes that he is now a man made out of tin and is disgusted at his current state. Elphaba makes it to the palace and sets the monkeys free and runs into the wizard while she's there. He offers Elphaba to redeem her good name and tells her he became a wizard by chance, that it was just wrong place, wrong time, and I just was appointed this whole role. She's almost won over until she sees Dr. Dilliman in a cage under a blanket. She goes over to try and speak to him, and he cannot talk. He can no longer speak anymore. He can only bah. And she's angered by this and blames the wizard. And he gets the guards to arrest her. Fiero, Glinda, and the other guards come in, and Fiero helps Elphaba escape and leaves with her. And Glinda is saddened by Fiero leaving and suggests that they use Nessa as bait to get Elphaba to come back so that they can capture her and arrest her. Madame Marble uses a tornado to start this plan. Now, what story starts with a tornado, of course, The Wizard of Oz. So this is where the two stories kind of come together. So Elphaba and Fiyero discover their feelings for each other and are happy for a moment. It's a sweet moment that takes about a song to feel happy. And Elphaba then sees a vision of Nessa in danger from a flying house in the air. Ah! Fiyero tells her about the castle that his family owns and that he says that she can use to live in and to use when she needs to. Glinda and Elphaba meet in Munchkinland, which is where Nessa was crushed by a house by a girl named Dorothy and her dog, Toto. Glinda tells her that she gave Dorothy the ruby slippers and sent her down the yellow brick road, which we all know leads to the Emerald City. The guards arrive to arrest Elphaba, but Fiyero comes out and holds Glinda hostage. Obviously, he was not going to hurt Glinda, but he was trying to convince everyone else that he was. And he was going to hold her hostage so that Elphaba could escape. Glinda asks them not to harm Fiyero when they obtain him, but they take him to a cornfield and torture him. Elphaba tries to cast a spell on him to help him be invincible against anything that could hurt him, and the spell goes wrong, but she does not know that yet. She decides that she is going to live up to her name because she is about sick of everybody and she's sick of trying to be nice, and she is now actually going to become the Wicked Witch of the West. Everyone in Oz is now rebelling against her, and Glinda finds out that Madame Marble is the one responsible for Nessa's death. Glinda runs into Elphaba to warn her about an angry mob that is coming to the castle that she's staying at. At Elphaba's castle, she has captured Dorothy and Toto, and Glinda has reached Elphaba, finally to warn her that the mob is coming, and she persuades to let Dorothy and Toto go. Elphaba refuses until she finds out that Fiyero has died. That really changes Elphaba's mind about who she is and why she's doing what she's doing. And so Elphaba gives the Grimiri to Glinda, and they embrace in a hug one last time before they say goodbye. Elphaba tells Glinda to hide, and Glinda watches as Dorothy throws a bucket of water onto her and melts her. Obviously, we know this scene because it was in The Wizard of Oz. All that is left is her witch hat and the potion that was Elphaba's mother's. Glinda goes back to the Emerald City and gives the wizard the bottle, says, "Here's a potion that was Elphaba's," and he recognizes it. And he realizes that he was Elphaba's father because he was the one that was the traveling salesman that had an affair with Elphaba's mother and gave her the potion. He is very saddened by this. And Glinda banishes the wizard and sends Madame Marble to prison. Back at the castle, so the Wicked Witch's castle or Fiyero's family's castle, Fiyero, who is now a scarecrow due to Elphaba's spell, comes to see where Elphaba was melted. He looks around to see if anyone else is there and knocks on the floor. A trap door opens and Elphaba comes out. The Wicked Witch is actually alive. Wow. This is post-Wizard of Oz, by the way. She faked her death to make everyone stop coming after her and to be with Fiyero. And she tells him that she regrets that she will never get to tell Glinda that she and him are alive and that they are well and that they are together. The musical goes back to the beginning, and Glinda finishes telling her story of how she became Glinda the Good. The crowd celebrates the end of the story because obviously to a crowd the story sounds happy and it sounds great, but Glinda is very sad because she still believes that both of her friends have now perished, and Elphaba and Fiyero leave Oz. That is the end of Wicked. This musical is amazing. It is just one of the best. Musically, the numbers are great. They all have a lot of emotion. It's a really fun musical. It has a lot of comedy in it at the same time as seriousness, and it's a great not a tribute, but a connection to the Wizard of Oz, a classic story that everybody knows, and that we are able to show the story of before, during, and after of the Wizard of Oz. I think having that story is just something really unique. It's something that we want from a lot of books and a lot of media that we see, that we have a part of a story, but we want to see the rest of it, and what happened before and what happened after. And I think that this musical did a really good job of doing that. The themes for this show: don't judge a book by its cover, meaning through friendship. Even if you see a person and they may not be the type of person that you maybe hang out with normally, or they say some things that you're like, I just don't know, they're kind of weird, don't worry about it. Just go up and introduce yourself. Try and meet them. Try to be their friend, because they could become your best friend. They could become the person that you confide in, have sleepovers with, hang out with all the time. Could be standing next to you at the altar when you get married. Things like that. And if you would have judged the book by its cover, you would have never met that person. The second theme is to love yourself the way you are. It does not matter what you look like. It does not matter how much you weigh. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. It does not matter what color hair you have. None of that matters. None of it matters. What really matters is what is inside, and what really matters is the way that you treat people and the way that you treat yourself. Because if you treat yourself well, you will treat others well. And I think it's really important to remember to love yourself as much as you love others. Sometimes I think some of us get a little distracted about loving other people, making sure other people are okay, when you need to make sure that you are okay and that you are loving yourself. It's something super, super important to me that you guys all have, is love for yourself, because you should love yourself. And the third theme is don't let others define you. I'm not trying to go on to defying gravity, but don't let others define you. If somebody, tells you one thing about yourself that you know isn't true, then it's not true. It's okay. Don't let others define who you are. Don't let rumors define who you are. Continue to stick with who you are. It's the same as loving yourself. Make sure that you are surrounded by people that do love you and do want to support you and do want to see you succeed, because that is important. I hope that every person that watches this knows that I am that person for you. I am that person that wants to see you succeed. I want to see you be happy, and I want to support you in any way possible. So that is the end of the class for Wicked. Once again, as you see, obviously, because of this crazy schedule and because of craziness, this is recorded, not live. So if you have comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you have a musical or a play that you want to be looked at, I would love some play suggestions from you guys, because I don't know, especially for high school students, what plays they want to really be looking at. So if you guys have musicals or plays, once again, Hamilton will be happening in July when it's on Disney Plus, because then everybody can watch it and we can all know what we're talking about when we see it. And so, yes. And if you are a high school student and you are interested in theater and you're like, wow, I could totally be a scenic designer, I love designing stuff, or I could totally be an actor or a director or anything like that, please, please, please reach out to me, John Michael, reach out to Madison, Lakin, whoever else has been on this show. Please, please reach out and ask us questions. There is no dumb question. I know people say that a lot. There really is no dumb question, because we want to help you, and I want you to have as great of an experience as I did when I got to go to college. Being a theater major, I would never trade it for anything in the world. It was one of the greatest experiences. I learned so much from it, and I'm able now to give it to other people as well. So, play Thursday clues. Clue number 1, Breakable. Clue number 2, Tennessee. Clue number 3, Classic. And clue number 4, Animals. I hope you guys are having a great week. Once again, I'm sorry that we had to have a musical Tuesday. Schedule got kind of crazy. And I hope you enjoyed learning about the show Wicked. It's a great show. I would highly recommend it. Please go see it once shows open. Please continue to watch shows online and keep creating. I will see you guys on Thursday.